Hello, thank you for joining us. This is Platform. I'm Ruth Aguwele. Nigeria in the last decade has firmly emerged as one of the leading frontier markets in Africa, with immense potential for significant growth. Experts say Nigeria's capital market has evolved into a critical driver of investment, wealth creation, and economic development, despite persistent economic pressures. Recently, the Nigerian capital market achieved a historic milestone with a transition from a T+2 to a T+1, that is the trade plus one settlement cycle, which is effective from June 1st, 2026, becoming the first market in Africa to implement the shortened settlement framework designed to enhance efficiency, build resilience, reduce risk, and improve global competitiveness. A laudable development that has been described as a defining moment in the market's evolution, a reflection of commitment towards helping the nation achieve the $1 trillion economy. In addition, investors can now buy or sell shares on the exchange by completing the transfer of cash and securities within one business day, which allows for faster access to funds and improved capital circulation across the market. Major structural reforms and unprecedented asset growth have taken center stage in the capital market, and this is driven by the Securities and Exchange Commission Nigeria, with efforts towards strengthening the entire financial ecosystem and boosting Nigeria's economic prospects. So our focus on Platform is Nigeria's capital market, growing the numbers. And our guest is the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission Nigeria, Dr. Emomotimi Agama. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Agama.
Thank you for having me, Ruth.
It's good to have you here. So before we bring in our panelists, we'd like to take a bit of his profile. Dr. Agama is a highly accomplished economist, investment analyst, and securities regulator. He holds a BSc in accountancy, dual master's degrees, MSc in banking and finance, MSc in economics, and PhD in economics. Dr. Agama holds a graduate certificate in capital markets from George Washington University School of Business, USA, and has completed advanced programs at institutions like Wharton Business School and Duke University, focusing on fintech law and policy. In 2018, Dr. Agama was seconded to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and is an IFC Milken Institute Capital Markets Fellow. Dr. Agama was elected Vice Chairman of the Africa Middle East Regional Committee of the International Organization of Securities Commission. He holds fellowships with multiple professional bodies, including the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, UK, and the Chartered Risk Management Institute of Nigeria. Well done, Dr. Agama.
Thank you.
All right, our panelist on the platform today is the head of business desk, businessman, Benny Adams. Benny, good to have you here on Platform.
Thank you for having me, Ruth.
Great. So, Dr. Agama, let's look at the transition of the Trade 1 Plus for Nigeria, the settlement cycle. First of all, congratulations to Nigeria. That is a huge milestone, and that is highly commendable, going by the reforms we've seen. Within the space of 6 months, Nigeria was able to achieve such a stride. Now, take us through the journey, how we got to that point.
Thank you very much, Ruth, and it's indeed a pleasure to be here. And thank you to the audience and our investors, because for us at the SSA, we exist because of our investors. And so it is very heartwarming that we've come to this milestone. But it didn't start today. It's a journey that's come a long way, and it's taken so much of our energy. But with intentionality and purposefulness, we're able to get here today. So in 2015, the Nigerian capital market set out to say, okay, what do we need to do to be counted among the markets, in the world? And one of the things we thought about doing was actually transiting to a T+1 cycle and possibly a T+0 cycle. So that was 10 years ago. And so we started the process because it was the Capital Market Master Plan 1.0, right? Unfortunately, I was a project manager for that Capital Market Master Plan then, though not the Director General of the SSA. So we followed up with exactly the plans that we had, And by the time I assumed office in April 2024, it was clear that certain milestones needs to be reached. And we needed to do what we needed to do, because oftentimes execution is a problem. And leadership is also a challenge. But once there is an intentionality, certainly results will come. And so for us, it was something that we must do, because it was necessary in building our market to where we want the market to be. Reduction of risk, increase in liquidity, and of course, putting money onto the hands of Nigerian investors.
So we'll explore the benefits, but let's get Benny's thoughts.
Well, Dr. Ogama, I'll start by saying congratulations on that feat. It didn't come easy. Most times when we talk about capital markets in Africa, you hear South Africa, you hear Egypt. Nigeria ranked about maybe 3, 4, maybe number 5. With this liquidity coming in and the reforms we've seen in the economic cycle, what's the possible impact of this going forward, looking into the nearest future, the short term, long term?
The impacts are huge. I mean, they definitely will be unprecedented. And if you see under our administration, and under the administration of our able president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and of course all of his lieutenants within the financial sector, you can see that there is remarkable improvements. It's proven fact. Numbers speak. That's exactly what we are doing. Market capitalization moved from 55 trillion in 2024 to 161 trillion. That is huge, right? We're speaking to the capital to GDP, market to GDP, is from 13% or thereabout to over 33%. That is huge. The all-share index is over 250,000 points. That is unprecedented. We've created more millionaires in this country than any other regime whatsoever. So it is not rhetorics. What we do in the capital market, we speak by the numbers, and the numbers are there to show. Right? There are more investors in the Nigerian capital market than it has ever been in the history of this country. And of course, in the history of any administration. Fiscal responsibility has also improved. So, where do we stand? Speaking to your question, Nigeria is a formidable nation in terms of the capital market. And you are aware the FTS Eurocells, our frontiers market indices, we are almost in there again because we've been invited back in there. That is to show credibility, is to show confidence, right? Is to show reliability, is to show resilience. These are the hallmarks of the today Nigerian capital market. And we can't do this without the investors because, like I said earlier in the program today, that our value is derived from the value of our investors. That the people we serve are able to see clearly that there is an impact on what we do. But beyond that impact, one critical part of the capital market is mainstreaming of the capital market into national development, making sure that people understand that for every economy that wants to develop and grow, that economy must embrace the capital market. Is it in agriculture? Is it in health services? Is it in transportation? Is it in education? Just name it. Every of these items I've mentioned are actually propelled by long-term capital. Long-term capital does not come from any bank. It comes from the capital market. And also providing investment outlets for Nigerians. We use our money to grow our economy and grow ourselves.
So let's look at what this portends for the investors going by this transition. If this has improved the competitiveness for Nigeria's capital market, and it, of course, is expected to enhance investors' confidence, what should investors begin to do in the aspect of realigning because of the structure and reform that has already played out? What should they begin to do now?
Yeah, so really, it's not just a shift. It's a shift in the ecosystem. And that is huge. It becomes broader, all right? It becomes more assertive, right? But more importantly is the point that you just raised. How do investors understand what we're speaking to? What we're saying that investors will now have cash in their hands faster, much more, even much more than lightning. Right? To say investors are able to take decisions, right, quickly because of the cash in their hand. You certainly cannot be a boast when you don't have money in your pocket. What we're saying is that money should get to your pocket as fast as you make your investment or you sell your investment. This is critical for anyone. It allows you to turn around money, to make more money. That is another point. So besides the money coming to you because you have a need for the money, it allows you to turn around your money to make more money, which speaks to the fact that we want you to be richer than what you used to be. We want it to be an impact from the capital market as a result of your activity and your participation in the market. Besides, you all are aware that every young person in this country owns a mobile phone, and a mobile phone that is a gateway and a platform for the execution of trade. It means that while you're standing as a young person, you are able to trade almost immediately on your phone in the market and making money faster than you will ever imagine. Also, you are aware, I'm sure, which has not been said, that the trading time on the Nigerian Stock Exchange has been increased. It used to end at 2, it's now at 4, accommodating everybody as much as possible from different time zones. Clearly, it gives you more stretch in making money, and there's not much money, anything than making money. Everyone lives about making money. The intention is to make good money so that you can look better.
Benny?
Doctor, we talked about liquidity in the market. Yes. There's opportunity for more liquidity. Yes. And recently we also understand that some sort of funds, pension funds, were also injected into this market. Yes. Do we have enough liquidity to fund budgets? We hear capital market practitioners call it on government to come for long-term funding in the capital market. Do we have that liquidity?
Yeah, the taste of the pudding is in its eating. That's what it said, and that's correct and true. The banking recapitalization just ended. And in the banking capitalization, I'm proud to say the capital market was an enabler. From the banking capitalization, we were able to raise over 4 trillion naira to be able to meet the policy, the regulatory policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria for banks. That is huge. It wasn't expected because people underestimated the value and the depth of the Nigerian capital market. We are a population of 240 million people, and that population is huge. That population is an asset. Within that population are resources. Those resources need to be channeled through the capital market. So for us, clearly, the capital market has come of age. We are able to fund budgets. We are able to fund infrastructure. We are able to fund development. We are able to fund agriculture. All that matters is that the product is good and the product is properly managed. Then, of course, we introduce resilience, we introduce transparency, we introduce accountability, we introduce reporting and disclosure, which is the hallmark of regulation. And for us, at the SEC, we believe the time has come. Beyond all of that, you are aware that in 2025, the ISA 2025 was signed by Mr. President within a week of that law being, sent to his table. It tells you how much support we get from Mr. President. And there's no president in this country ever that has given so much support and understands the capital market as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. For reference sake, go to Lagos State and you will see Lagos State at the time of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, was the state that issued the most bonds in the Nigerian capital market. Every other governor that had come after him had followed its footsteps. So majority of the developments in Lagos State are pursued through the capital market bond issuances. And we will, argue about the numero uno status of Lagos State in terms of the utilization of the capital market and the development it has brought to Lagos State as a state? Nobody. These are all evidences of the intentionality of Mr. President, the intentionality of leadership, and the fact that the capital market indeed is a solution provider.
You know, when you mention the the ISA, that's the Investment and Securities Act, it brings to bear the digital assets regulation and the protection, of course, of the crypto digital assets providers. Now, when we look at where Nigeria is, sustainability is key. So tell us how this act, which is, of course, laudable from what you've stated, can help protect investments, can help secure, especially when you mention that everybody is on their phones now. We see young people even get involved in crypto and all of that. So what kind of, what's the level of framework that has been provided by the ISA?
Again, thank you. The Securities and Exchange Commission is actually a knowledge institution, you know, as different from a lot of other institutions. We are a knowledge institution. And so we do things very, very carefully, knowing I'm speaking from history and knowledge. And so, as far back as 2020, we had started issuing regulations around crypto. The first statement was made September 2020, trying to provide clarity to Nigerians and classifications to Nigerians regarding their investment in crypto and crypto-associated instruments, the digital assets. At that time, we had the ISA 2007, which never anticipated a crypto regime. Because, of course, if you go back to 2019, right, 2009, of course, you speak to Satoshi Nakamoto, right, you know, in terms of Bitcoin and the rest of it and the white paper. But more importantly, what we did with the ISA 2025 was to include in the ISA a legislation and a provision regarding the regulation of digital assets in Nigeria. That was something that was unprecedented, and it was a major stride for us. Having done that, we moved further from just that to introducing the vast regulation, that is Virtual Asset Service Providers Regulation, in order that we are able to capture the risk associated with investment in this area, registration of market participants in this area, because, of course, registration is the hallmark of regulation. And so, having done that, we now introduce what we call the regulatory incubation and subsequently the accelerated regulatory incubation. What is that? What does that? Is that simply English? No. It is a soundbox. A soundbox is like a crystal hub where we allow people to operate and we understudy them to be able to know the risk associated with what they are doing. How does it affect the Nigerian investor? As I said earlier, the Nigerian investor is our prime responsibility. The ISA is one law that speaks to it very vividly with twin objective of investor protection and market development. We are the only ISA in the world that has those twin objectives because we know the value of protecting the investor. So for us, it is prime and key because, again, we also understand our demography, and that's why context is very important.
True.
By our demography, over 90% of our young ones are below 30 years. And each of these young ones has the telephone or the mobile phone as their next of kin. And so clearly for us, there is a priority to protect them, priority to educate them beyond protection, because it's important. If you do not protect people, they can't, of course, be protected. Educating them, first and foremost, is about protecting them, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Dr. Agama, if I may take up from there, talking about this young population that has been, will I say, brought into the capital market using not just the digital assets, but using mobile phones. You can trade and do all of that. Young people are now beginning to invest in the capital market. But beyond going into the capital market, young people today, whether you like it or not, is a fact that they want quick cash. And looking for quick cash, a lot of people have gone into Ponzi schemes, which has been a challenge around the financial ecosystem. I know the SEC has been collaborating with ICPC, EFCC to ensure that is covered. Can you speak to that and the progress that has been made so far?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is the truth that a lot of people are falling victims to scams. But it's also the truth that the SEC has risen up to the challenge. We have issued over 135 advisories to this effect, and will continue to engage with stakeholders from all facets of life in this country, making sure that people actually understand. We went ahead even to the marketplace, to speak to the people in the market. I led that team. And the executive commissioners of the SEC are also on that streak. We're doing even much more. We're going to be going to all of the geopolitical zones, perhaps all of the states, to be able to educate people to do what they should do. Besides that, we've also introduced short code, right? USSD codes, for Nigerians to be able to confirm market operators who are actually involved in genuine schemes. Prior to these times, we have what we call the discretionary funds that were not registered and regulated by the SEC. Currently, the new rules are that they must be registered at the SEC. So for us, it is an important aspect of our job to be able to educate people, to get them to understand that yes, you want to get rich, but you got to get rich through legitimate means. You have to get rich through patience and hard work. You have to get rich through education. You can't just get rich because you want to get rich and, be scooped by unscrupulous elements. People all over the place will want to do that.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's also important to note the Ponzi schemes do not reside in Nigeria. Neither is the name Ponzi a Nigerian name.
Exactly.
The name Ponzi, Charles Ponzi, is an Italian name of an Italian American.
That has been domesticated.
Exactly. So, clearly, it is something that each and every one of us have a responsibility to educate ourselves. And by so doing, we are able to educate people who work with us, who are our family members, who have filial relationship with us. We can see that happening everywhere. Madoff is not a Nigerian, it's an American. Not just an American, he was an elite American who was chair of NASDAQ. Right? However, it is clear what had happened. How he swindled his people. These are all over the place. But is that an excuse for us not to do what we have to do? No, it's not. We will continue to intensify the propensity to manage the situation. We will continue to educate people. We will continue to engage. So recently, we are the NOA, National Orientation Agency. The essence is to be able to reach out to all nooks and crannies. We signed an MOU. Recently, we are the National Youth Service Corps. How and why? Signed an MOU to be able to use the mass talent of Nigerian graduates all over the country to be able to share that information, educate people, and do what we need to do. Recently, yes, right, FRCN, we now have a morning program at the FRCN to educate Nigerians. We are also in the process of setting up a capital market radio because we must reach everybody. So we do not have an excuse not to reach anybody because everybody is important in this equation. And being given the mandate by Mr. President, we must make efforts to be able to protect Nigerians.
I also understand that the ISA Act provides for stiffer penalties.
Yes.
So what are the penalties? Just like you're setting up frameworks to ensure that Nigerians are sensitized, they're aware, these penalties are also important, especially for unauthorized market operators.
Yeah, sure. So the penalties are there. One of them is a minimum of 20 million. That's minimum on the line. So the first charge is 20 million. It could be 1 billion. So if you are caught, know it, you're going to lose everything. That's number one. Number two, 10 years imprisonment. You're going to be behind the bars if you are caught. So people should be wary. And that is why we have gone into cooperation with the Nigerian police force. At the SEC today, we have a police unit embedded in the SEC. At the SEC today, we have the Ministry of Justice, the Attorney General's office, embedded at the SEC.
What about intelligence agencies?
Of course, we have DSS inside the SEC.
Okay.
So we are not playing. We have strong collaboration with the ONSA, of the Office of the National Security Advisor. We have strong relationship with ES. In fact, we are represented on the EFCC board as SEC. We also have strong relationship with my very good friend, Dr. Aliu of the ICPC. We must make sure that we use every opportunity to protect Nigerians.
Dr. Agama, just before Benny picks up with a follow-up, it's just out of curiosity for, I'm thinking like a Nigerian now. I am a Nigerian, obviously. Many would say this penalties, it's not the first time we're hearing there are penalties, it's not the first time we're hearing there are strong collaborations, with security agencies, but how many people really have been, convicted or caught as culprits, and exposed so people know?
Yeah, a lot of people are. When there are judgments in court regarding this, they are publicized. So we do it. In as much as, it may not have been announced in such a way, but it's there. The information is there. And every day, people get convicted. The process of justice grinds very slowly. Because we are a law-abiding institution, we can't go into jungle justice. So we must follow the process. And that's why sometimes it appears as if little is being done. But that's not true. Just this morning, right on my table, I had over 50 requests from the EFCC regarding unscrupulous elements. I had to sign them off immediately as I came. It shows the work that is being done. If they give you the records of work that's been done around securities fraud by the EFCC, it's in thousands. We must do our job. We understand what it is. And because, why do we not make so much noise? We don't make so much noise because an information will lead to another information. So if you make those noise, the other people will run away. That's why it does appear. So we need to manage all of that so that everybody who is involved is actually caught in the web. So that's the reason why it does appear. But like I told you, just this morning, over 50. The number of institutions that the ICPC, the EFCC, and the police at the SEC is involved in dealing with are in thousands. We will continue to do so. We are resolute about it. The ISA 2025 has actually given us more powers, including prosecutorial powers. That means that lawyers at the SEC can now go to courts to bring some of these culprits to justice. And we take that very seriously.
Okay, Benny, I know you have a question running in, but we have to take a break. Okay. When we come back, we'll pick up with the conversation, so do stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. The conversation is on Nigeria's capital market, talking about growing the numbers. Benny, you were going to pick up with a question.
Yes, Dr. Agama, it's cheering to hear a whole lot that has been done within this short period of time since you came into office. Now, talking about liquidity in the market, I haven't achieved the banking recapitalization. We're talking about the recapitalization in the capital market today, and we've had deadlines. We've seen market players say some of the requests are way too much. Some are saying the timing is short. What's happening with the SEC about all of that?
Well, the truth about it is that nothing good comes easy.
Sure.
And everyone that wants to stand must stand on very strong legs. We at the SEC believe strongly that recapitalization of capital market operators is a way to driving development. And mind you, recapitalization didn't start with the SEC. The banking capitalization was actually announced some 2 years ago. And the capital market was actually the vehicle to use to achieving that. I was used to achieving that. The insurance recapitalization is also on. Of course, it's happening through the capital market. The pension fund administrators recapitalization has also been announced. The capital market recapitalization was the last to be announced. The simple reason is the midwife for each of this recapitalization is the capital market operators. And so, clearly, Dr. Heal Thyself. Mm-hmm. So it is important to note that prior to this time, what we had built are individuals. And individuals can't take us somewhere. What can take us where we want to go to are strong institutions. And strong institutions need talent, they need resource, they need equipment, they need knowledge, they need computers. So in all of this, one thing stands out that will take them there is their capital. Mind you, and it's also an important information to share to Nigerians, that the capital we are saying that they should increase does not belong to the SEC. It belongs to them. We are saying that there is going to be rainfall in your house. Do you have a good cover so that you don't get drowned? We are taking care of them. We are saying, okay, if you want to do this, if you want to propel the economy, if you want to assist in capital raise, if you want to protect the investor, if you want to do all that you need to do to change this market, to take this market to the next destination, you must be strong. And we are giving you provisions for you to be strong. There is no good thing that comes easy. There must be intentionality. There must be leadership. Mr. President has shown that leadership. Even on the first day of office, he took decisions that a lot of people considered not right. But we can see today that those decisions were critical decisions for the sustenance of our economy. And for us to continue to be living in a country called Nigeria. Those are economic decisions that are, very strategic for our existence. At the capital market, we will not shy away from taking strong decisions that will build strong institutions to build a stronger capital market, driving towards a $1 trillion economy, democratizing wealth, and making people feel better. That's exactly what we've done.
And based on this reform, you're talking about the recapitalization, you can't talk about it and not explore the aspect of compliance. So how are you ensuring that it's streamlined?
It's very simple.
And possibly the response so far.
No,
Yes.
response has been tremendous. I can tell you today that we have had over 35% of the capital market operators meeting the requirement already.
Fantastic.
Over 35%. There, a few will struggle, and it is not that we do not understand that. We do. Not all fingers are equal, so they say in our old adage, but the provisions are there. If you are struggling, merge. Right? Divided we fall, united we stand. In merger, you create a stronger institution, you share risk, and recalibrate your system. A tree does not make a forest. So clearly, we have their back for those that think, oh, will I be able to make it? If you don't make it, merge. You become a stronger institution. And, of course, you continue doing your business. It enables you to be able to deal with stronger and bigger tickets. Our vision is that capital market operators from this country, from Nigeria, will start operating in Africa, not just in Nigeria. We need to be able to galvanize capital for Africa for Africans. We need to be able to do transactions in Ghana, in Togo, in Cameroon, in Niger Republic, by our capital market operators. Last year, I was in Côte d'Ivoire, where a capital market operator from Nigeria went to lunch. We need to start going to South Africa. We need to start going to Ethiopia. This year alone, we have received over 7 countries coming to Nigeria to ask us, how are you doing it? We want to lead, and we are leading. We want to make the difference. That is why we are Nigerians. And with the inspiration of Mr. President, I don't have a choice. My team does not have a choice. It is the bits that we do by the powers conferred on us by Mr. President that makes this country work. So, clearly for us, we'll do what is right, making sure that from the angle we sit, we are doing just the right thing to take care of Nigerians, which is our responsibility.
From the angle you see it as a regulator, how would you assess return on investment as it were today in the market?
That's a tough one.
So it's not.
Okay.
Because if start loquito, the fact speaks for itself. In 2025, the return on investment was over 51%. One of the best performing in Africa. In 2026, January to date, wow. It is a wow. It has outstripped any expectation. It's over 50%. And this is facts. It's not rhetorics. So the market is doing well on the premise, on the hanger of good regulation, reform, consistency, intentionality, and whatever. And we have not seen the best yet. There are offers that are going to come to this market that will shake Africa. They are already on the way. And we are confident that at SEC, we will give our best to make sure it is seamless.
So, Dr. Agama, I'd like to explore the Nigerian Capital Market Master Plan 2.0, which is expected to be unveiled this June and July. And I'm made to understand that it's deeply rooted in technological integration. Let's look at how the Commission is leveraging these innovative technologies to keep the market afloat.
It's for us, like it's a pill we must take.
Okay.
There's two ways about it. Our drive to the use of technology is unprecedented. Unprecedented. We are just concluding a contract to introduce a NASDAQ surveillance tool to the Nigerian market.
NASDAQ?
Yes.
Explain that for people.
NASDAQ is the foremost platform in the world in terms of surveillance and indeed trading engine for securities transaction. So we're doing that with the assistance of the African Development Bank. It's a game changer. So that is technology. Of course, you see the T+1 is technology.
Yeah.
You see our use of the USSD is technology. And of course, we're the first institution in this country to get our law into an audible form. So you have an audio ISA that you can listen to while sleeping, while driving, while eating, to provide you education on the go. We are doing so much. We are deploying artificial intelligence to surveillance and other aspects of the Securities and Exchange Commission. We are adopting blockchain technology for execution and indeed onboarding of capital market operators. Digitalization is part of our DNA. And so we believe strongly that this period is a period that we all as Nigerians must be proud of, because we will do that which we will need to do, blazing the trail in the areas that people wouldn't have understood, and taking opportunity. The Capital Market Master Plan 2.0 is a game changer, because it is principally the way it is, because it aligns completely with the RSA 2025.
Okay.
And that alignment is critical to driving the revolution and the development as we move forward. So we at the SEC, we are proud to be here at this time, but we are even humbled that we have a privilege to serve Nigerians through the SEC and indeed the magnanimity of Mr. President.
Dr. Agama, so much has been done, so much has been achieved, but I would like to know, and I'm sure some other Nigerians out there would like to know, how far, so far, what is the level of new listing into the capital market? And Nigerians have also been waiting for one mega petrochemical company to come on board. We hear listings might not just be in the local currency, but in some foreign currency. Take us through that.
Yeah, so clearly, listing, the dearth of listing is not only in Nigeria, it's a global trend, but certainly certain things will be done. And you've mentioned we are at the edge of what we call a historical breakthrough in terms of a listing, and it's going to be a gigantic one. However, it is important to share an information that is not readily available. And that information is, every day the SEC receives an application for capital raise from companies all over this country at a minimum of 5, 6 every day.
Wow.
And what do? They come to raise capital via commercial papers. That is significant. And that is a pipeline that has been created for future listing. Listing is not a child's play. Listing requires structure, requires governance, requires integrity, and requires transparency. Disclosure is the hallmark of listings. So what happens now is with these companies raising capital through commercial papers in the capital market, they are beginning to learn the ropes that will help them build the institutions that they can now bring to the market for Nigerians to invest in.
So very quickly, I don't know how you're going to put this in summary because we're running out of time. The education of the capital market, for, like he mentioned, the new listers. If we're looking at ways people can make informed investment decisions, some experts have also recommended introducing the capital market knowledge, in secondary schools curricula. That's one angle. And also you've mentioned radio program on the pipeline and all of that, but expanding the scope in the aspect of educating Nigerians, to make the right decisions, informed decisions in the capital market. What is the future? What do you see?
The future is pregnant, right?
Okay.
But more importantly, every pregnancy has a
due date.
Due date.
Yes.
And that due date is a revolution. We are speaking to the NERC, the NERDC, who are in charge of curriculum development, and God willing, September, capital market education will be embedded in every aspect of Nigerian education.
And that's exactly 9 months, if you look at from the start of the year, for
That's
any pregnant
pregnancy.
woman.
Exactly. Right? So that will happen. Besides that, we are also exploring digital educational, platforms.
Yes.
To be able to provide that. And I'm sure you are aware that my previous role before becoming the DG, I was the managing director of the Nigerian Capital Market Institute.
Yes.
So we are revitalizing the Nigerian Capital Market Institute to provide that gap, to fill that gap for education. We are also, organizing a sensitization workshop from all of the zones. Besides that, we are opening more offices to get to the people and drive education. And lastly, we're employing you,
The media.
the OAPs, right, to help us. Because people know you better, they trust you better, they listen to your voices every day, they are used to your sonorous voices, and so whatever you tell them is true. And we cannot but ask for your help in making sure this happens.
Okay, so we'll leave it there, Dr. Momotimi Agama. Thank you so much for educating Nigerians, enlightening us on what we need to know about the growth in the Nigeria capital market. We'll only put our eyes on the trajectory and the price. I know Benny is very interested in the numbers.
Always.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on platform. And our head of business desk, Benny Adams, thank you so much for your thoughts.
Always a pleasure.
So the monies are coming in.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So we've been looking at the Nigeria's capital market, talking about growing the numbers. Now the goal is, and the T+1, that's the trade plus one, is here to stay. The goal is to ensure that the economic growth in the market is sustained, talking about efficiency, resilience, and of course, global competitiveness. And that's Platform. I'm Ruth Aguwele.